And shoot. Of course, every time when I try to do something, there's always a little flaw. But anyway, how's it going? YouTube, DM Tombstone belts here, and with it, and guys, no, it's not DMT live. It is DM Tombstone live now, because the recent oh, and just so happens, guys, look, we got a special guest here for DM Tombstone live. Please welcome well-known YouTuber Mr. Steven Hammer. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. It's the first time. Welcome to my live stream of DM Tombstone Live. Yeah, I changed the name from DMT Live to DM Tombstone Live because a lot of people kept on saying, "When is he gonna start smoking?" Like, no, guys, I don't do drugs. But anyway, if you guys do not know him, he is a belt fanatic as it is. I watched your videos, man. Watched from the very beginning, and I gotta say, man, you are a you are an inspiration for me to at least do stuff because you helped me a lot. Because after all, I got my re-leather send-out strap for my world heavyweight title thanks to the guy you told me about.
Yeah,
I mean, really, I didn't really care much for if he didn't have the holes pushed in it because it made me feel more like a belt maker putting them myself. And I did pretty good work for it. And I do say you I wanted to probably say we'll start off by doing this like a Q&A thing. So tell me, were a fan back in the what, like the golden era of the 80s, you say?
yeah. It was probably around the late '80s. I was born in '87, so like more like the early '90s was more my thing. The new generation. But I do remember Ultimate Warrior Hogan, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Because for me, I was like at the midway of 96. So I was in between like the new generation and attitude era.
yeah.
Growing up with Stone Cold, The Rock, and all of them. So yeah, I would say because literally, like the Winged Eagle was just only got 2 more years before it got replaced by the Big Eagle. And say you started collecting at real young as a kid. You were starting to collect those toy belts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the little plastic foam belts. I used to look at WWF magazine if people can remember stuff like that. I would go to like Kmart, you know, and find the WWF section, and I would flick through the magazine, and I would look at the little foam belts, and I was thinking, man, just I hope one day I get to have one of those belts.
Yeah, and those were like the old, real old versions because I don't even because I think I own one WWF toy belt. And I just was lucky enough to find it on eBay. It was a WWF Smoking Skull belt. The other belts now are all WWE related because my
Yeah.
first actual belt I got was a Jack Pacific toy big gold belt, and my brother had the undisputed. But then I collected them all, and my last recent belt was a Mattel belt. I mean, I was still collecting toy belts, but then I was like, you know what? Time to start collecting the big belts. The
Yeah.
replicas or the adult size belts.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah. So, what was your first actual replica belt you got?
Like the first metal
Yeah, like the
replica.
first metal, like the actual like reused belt, not the toy belts. I
Uh,
mean, I
the
wouldn't even say a commemorative belt, but then again, that's
yeah,
just a ramped up version of a Mattel belt.
yeah. The first metal belt I ever bought this was back in probably 2011, 2013, something like that.
Mhm.
It was a WWE Big Eagle because they didn't sell F at the time. So it was a WWE Big Eagle belt. And on the side, it had a WrestleMania 20 silver, like commemorative, like little plate where the property plate would be. It was a really cool belt. I loved it. I had since gave that belt to like a local wrestling like indie show for them to use. And
Yeah,
yeah, that was my first one for sure. A Big Eagle belt.
yeah. Like my first belt, I still own. I mean, I never sold any of my belts. My very first belt, as you can tell, up right there, that big logo, the network logo belt. I have restoned myself. Got it send out strap from it from Rock Leather Designs. Took a year to get the darn thing, and that was a
Wow.
real pain. Got it all found due. And luckily, I'd say even Richard Simpson helped me out by getting myself custom plates. Because most people they want like name plates or custom side discs for their belts. like for me, I don't mind trying to collect that, but then again, thinking I want it to be personal. Like since like most people want the like whoever won that title's name on it. I feel like more since it's my personal collection and it's
Yeah.
my property. I rather mind like some people won't mind having their name on the belt. I mean, do you ever feel like that as well for certain belts? You want your name like have your name as a nameplate on your belt?
Oh yeah, I was like that in the beginning. I was like, man, I want my belt on big golds. I want my name on spinners. But now I kind of just put like if I have a spinner belt, I want John Cena on it, right? If I have a big gold, I want somebody, uh, a Ric Flair or something like that. I used to be real into like putting my name on everything. Now I don't really care as much. I just want like a little plate of the person that held that belt.
Yeah, and also before we continue on with that, I want to say, I hope you're doing well, and as well, I hear about like your wife and that. How's she doing?
She's doing good. It's pretty much the same as always. You know, she's still going blind. She still
Yeah,
needs my help for a lot of stuff. You know, she can't do a whole lot by herself, so I'm always with her. I'm always having to go do stuff for her, driving for her. Like I'm always having to do everything that I can. And
yeah.
you know, as a husband, you do everything that you can for your wife.
Oh,
And
believe me, I wish I would know that, man. I'm luckily enough, I'm a single guy, but I say, for me and my fans, and as well for my family, I have prayers for you and for your wife. I hope she continues to be in great health as much as possible. And as well, I like to say, as well, I've seen your channel that you also are a fan of horror films, right? Like Friday the
oh,
13th and that,
oh yeah, yeah.
because
I
I
got a
like that
big
as well.
yeah. I got
Yeah,
the
'cause
big
I feel like
Michael Myers right there.
I mean, well, hell, I met James Drew Courtney as Michael Myers, and and Friday the 13th too. I love that, but I gotta
Yeah.
say, as well, after like how long have you been part of YouTube? Like I've been part of YouTube for like 8 years now, almost 8 years.
I was on YouTube pretty early in the beginning. I think YouTube started in like 2006, I think. But I started uploading around 2010, but it was very basic stuff. Like I would upload like my indie wrestling stuff. I would upload like just random wrestling clips, not really thinking of stuff. So it was about 2010 I probably started uploading videos. And then I
Yeah,
started doing like card magic and stuff, and I was like real heavy into that and
yeah,
then I kind of just shifted my focus to wrestling because I have
mhm.
always loved wrestling my entire life.
Yeah,
I and I just like it. So
yeah, because I say the wrestling community, like wrestling fan community, there's not much like people would know like about Paul Martin or Hazard F5, and like there's some people on YouTube, but then there's not that many that do like talk about wrestling or even do belt collections on YouTube. I know like you're probably one of them, other than Hazard F5 being known for belt collections.
I mean, I could probably name a couple. I mean, there's Hazard, there's Paul Martin, there's me, there's Wick belts. You know, a lot of people watch Wick belts on YouTube and
Oh yeah,
stuff.
I heard about him. Like, I'm
Yeah.
surprised like how he could like literally have. Like I seen one video. He said he has over $100,000 worth of like wrestling belt collections. I mean, like some people go big on stuff like go to Classic Shields and all them. Like you mentioned them many times on your channel. I mean, like for me, I don't mind if I had it, but I don't have like that type of income, and that's why I like to say most times, like for me, do you prefer a belt that's accurate to like the ones you see on TV, or does it really like matter to you if it's WWF or WWE or not?
I want it to be somewhat accurate. Like I'm not gonna go to Classic Shields and spend $4,000 on a belt. Like I'm not doing that.
No,
Um, that's just, and I'm also not gonna wait a year or 2 years for a belt either. I'm not doing that. I think that's just ridiculous.
yeah, that's
Some
like
people,
I did. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
some people can do that. Some people will want to spend that much money and wait that long, but I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that at all.
Yeah, because I wouldn't do that either. Because for me, I barely could keep like a couple grand with me because with bills and all that. That's why I prefer like how you say you do partial payments with other belt makers.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I'll send a little bit down, obviously, to get the artwork started and things like that. Maybe 25%, maybe half, right? I'll send it to him. and
Like
then
for
the
me,
other,
I do like half and like or thirds. Like say like
yeah,
one
yeah,
person I get that does like 250 or that. I'd maybe do like partial payments of 75 till it gets to it. But
yeah,
like one person I say like for most people they say you go to people that make belts like out of Pakistan or that they call them bootlegs. As much as I hate that phrase, like even though yes, it is a bootleg. So like for me, like this belt here, the big green I got from Hassan, it's about as good as you could probably get from other than and it too, this is a great price for a belt. I mean, as accurate as it probably be, it's I say like Hassan belts, he does great leather and it's a great quality belt. I mean, I got two belts from him. I'm gonna probably make more, but like as well to tell people if you're going the route like I would for cheap belts and obviously for belts that don't require to spend a lot of price, would you tell people you recommend like certain people and as well if there's any advice? Like for I tell people because I contact a lot of them, like Rana Buta is another one who actually gave me the WCW US. And I think there's others like Shiny Titles I talked to on Instagram who gave me that ECW tag behind me. But
yeah,
I
yeah. I
tell
talk to
people,
people. A lot of people will message me and say, "Hey, what belt makers should I go to?" And I always fire back with that question. Well, it depends on your budget. Like, I don't know what you want to spend on a belt. Obviously, if you want to buy a belt and I recommend Classic Shields and the Classic Shields is not in your, it makes no sense for me to say recommend them, right? But if you
yeah,
want to spend $200 on a belt, I know people that could probably make that happen for you. So like it really depends on a person's budget. I prefer the smaller budget, the 200, 300, $400 belts. I like that. I'm
yeah,
more
like I like that range because
yeah,
A, it's not too
yeah,
cheap, and two, like I say, I always go for belts that have zinc. They always say
yeah,
zinc or brass or CNC. Obviously,
yeah.
CNC is like the high level. That's like $600-700 range. Zinc is like within that range. But then when you say brass, like I remember your phrase in that one video when you did the US belt, you're saying you never go brass because brass is ass.
The only time I like brass belts is if it's a CNC brass. But if you get like a regular like
Acid etch
two
brass.
yeah, like a regular brass belt, 3 millimeter, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Uncle Howdy Mask is right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As I was saying, like Satani looks like she has a question for probably me and for you. If you got any questions for both either me or my buddy here, Stephen Hammer, make sure you comment below. But okay, so like I say, for brass, obviously CNC brass is probably better than normal brass. But as well, CNC. How often would you say you rather have people go for CNC? Does it
A lot
depend
of
on the design?
uh, a lot of people like the CNC look because it almost looks perfect. It looks really clean once the CNC machine cleans out all the plates and does all the work for the makers technically. Uh, to me, CNC belts almost look like actual WWE replicas the way they look because they look so clean and polished.
Yeah, like for me, when I get collection of replicas, I tell people there's a difference between actual making belts and how WB Shop does replicas. Because when they do replicas, you can see more like a mirror finish to their belts.
Yeah,
Where from like say like this, my big green belt, it's a little bit scuffed up and that it can't be like a permanent mirror polish to them.
yeah.
And as well, I want to say out of the companies you probably say you favor, like from NWA, WCW, like TNA, all them, which company you think has the better belt design to you, in out of your thoughts?
Out of like at this present day,
Well, I would say I could say probably from we'll do well. First off, we'll say by company entirely. It doesn't matter at all because I would say it could be any time, a period from much as you remember. But out of those companies, like for me, I only knew WWE, WCW, and ECW. I haven't watched much of TNA or I started getting into AEW. Ring of Honor is kind of hard to get to, but I like it for me. I know more of WCW and like ECW and WWE or WWF. But which company you think is best with belt designs?
you're probably gonna think that I'm gonna say WWE, but I really like WCW's old belts back in the day. Obviously the big gold is a classic, but like your
Well, obviously.
WCW like 5 plate United States title,
Oh
beautiful
yeah,
belt, beautiful.
I'll definitely have that.
Yeah, yeah, that one exactly. I love the little television title. I love that one as well.
Oh yeah, you got that one too up on over there. I hope to
Yeah,
get that one replaced because I got like I had one bell maker give me that, and I gotta tell you, the plates are somewhat all right. One of them's got a dent in it, but the strap is, oh, I'm just may give that away to some person who probably deserves it. Because after all, one guy I talked to, you probably heard of him. He's another fellow guy I talked to, helped me with this stream. His Dex TV. He too loves wrestling, and he wouldn't mind getting that. I'll be like, I'll tell you what, man, you can have that if you want as soon as I get it replaced. Because I say the little, as most people call it, it may be called like the small gold, but
yeah,
that television title, I give like for me, I like to give people a chance to make a belt for me, and so I could praise them on my channel because they people that make belts like bootleg belts. I like to give people chances so my fans could have a chance if they like, oh, I want to get a belt from this guy. I want to give him praise to help him out.
yeah.
Do you do the same for you for your
Oh
type
yeah,
of people?
absolutely. A lot of people shop with one belt maker and just stick with them. I shop around, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna eat McDonald's the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I'm not just gonna stick with one place to eat the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I eat McDonald's, I eat Texas Roadhouse. There's a bunch of other restaurants out there that you pick and choose from,
yeah.
spaghetti,
For
steak.
me, I
I
prefer.
I'm
I
not
mean,
I'm not sticking with one belt maker the rest of my life. I'm not doing it.
yeah,
Sometimes different belt makers offer different stuff. They're better at other stuff. Some belt
yeah.
makers are better at doing plates. Some are better at doing leather. It really just
Mhm.
depends on that belt that you want made.
Yeah, because as well, it's time and effort. Like most of the people I go for when it comes to bootlegs, it could be like a week or two or even 3 weeks max. Then I end up getting my belt in the mail. And I always say I had best luck going for bootlegs because after all, the amount of bootlegs I have is almost equal to the amount of replicas I own. Because I own like 39 belts right now, and I'm working on number 40. And I gotta say, some belts I did get from those people that they talk about online. Like, you ever heard of this guy on YouTube called WWE Fan Talk Show?
Yes.
And you heard about how he gets belts. Like I got a winged eagle from Mock Belts, and he always praised Mock Belts. But I heard many times people say don't go to them. I mean, do you agree with that? Like, don't go to them or go to them?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Do not go to mock belts. That's just my opinion.
Because I was lucky enough to get a winged eagle from Mock Belts. It's not as good as other people. I would tell you that the strap is not that well, but I love it because it's a winged eagle I got, and
Yeah.
it's as close as you get to an actual winged eagle. And if I wanted to, I could just use that my metallochrome like marker and turn it into a dual plated winged eagle. But I'm gonna leave it as a gold one, and I got it signed by Sergeant Slaughter and Diesel. So yeah, and I got it a single piece belt tip. So and as well, speaking of belt tips, do you prefer one piece belt tips on belts, or does it really matter if it's two pieces or not?
I mean, I really don't care because I don't like belt tips at all, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, but if they're supposed to be like TV accurate, I'd say if it is a belt tip, like for me, I like one piece because a when you put this when it's all screws in that. I mean, obviously, unless they use it on TV where it is a replica and you can see the screws in the back, all means that's fine by me.
Yeah.
But most people like one piece belt tips and
Yeah.
like as well, like people want to know how you put them on. Like for me, I know you mostly want to keep them on, you gotta use some type of strength glue.
Yeah.
Like a couple of my belts have one piece belt tips. I love the one piece belt tips because A, you don't have to worry about having that look of the screws in the back.
Yeah, I think the overall presentation of a belt tip looks better as a one piece belt tip. It
Yeah.
it does. It looks a lot better that way instead of having those 3 screws in the back that you see. So, I mean, I definitely understand why people would want a one-piece belt tip that just simply glues on and you just stick it in there.
And as well, for your thoughts, do you think do you prefer belts that are have jewels on them or little jewels on them, or like if it's like completely crested with like diamonds or stuff like that crown jewel title, or would you like one that's like with little amount of jewels or no jewels at all?
I like little jewels. Like, I don't like a lot. I don't. Like, I think the network logos and stuff like that and that crown jewel title, I think that's just too much, if I'm just being honest. I
Because
like
it
the
makes it look
but
like it just looks like a showpiece for some like hip hop artist or something, like Flavor Flav walking out with that belt.
like the Big Eagle was a really good showcase of using a beautiful design, but with just like, I don't know, eight stones or so, 10 stones
Stone.
scattered throughout the belt. And I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, same like the undisputed title, exact same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like jewels can make the title look prestigious just as long as you know a limit of how many stones you can put on it, right? Because I feel like even like the Intercontinental title, it only had 6 stones on it when it was the Oval IC.
Yeah.
And I
That's a
know,
that's a that's a good belt too. Yeah, that's another good comparison. That's another one that has very minimal stones and it still looks good.
yeah, because you don't have to have stones on a belt to make it look prestigious, but yet if you want to make it look good and if it requires stones, know the limit. Like I say, like top belts of mine that have little stones, yeah, Big Eagle, Undisputed, even Big Gold. The Big Gold don't have that many stones.
Yeah. Yeah, the Big Gold is another one that's great. Like, I have the WWE shop, the shop rind or the crumb rind, and
Yeah,
I love it. I just left the plastic stones on it. I think it's good enough if I'm just being honest with you.
yeah, because as well, like for me, I don't mind having certain stones, like if it's stock and that. But if I have time to restone them, I would. And for
Oh,
me,
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you see my channel, like how many times I have my belts restored. I have right now
Yeah.
about 14. I'm working on 15 right now. And I'm working on a bit of what stones I use. Before I usually stick to like Swarovski crystals. And most people like some people could go that way, and most people want to go to cubic zirconias. And yeah, well, hey Iram, how are you doing? But yeah, like cubic zirconias. Like, which one do you think is best bet for your steak? Would you do the Swarovski way or the cubic zirconia way?
Honestly, I'm not educated enough to really give a good opinion on that because I don't know enough about gemstones to really understand the real big difference
Oh,
between the two. So like I don't want to make a wrong answer here.
yeah, because
I
because in my opinion, there's not much of a difference. Like here, I got my red universal. Every of these stones here, except these ones right here, are Swarovskis. These ones here are cubics, and most people can spot the differences. And I know like CZs, as most people call them, they're a little bit more flatter when you put them in compared to like the Swarovskis because they're more bigger and bulge out. But I'm starting to like experiment. Like some of my belts, I have a mixture of both. Like one, like I have majority of my belts are Swarovski crystals because I get them easier off of eBay and that. But then when I get to these big belts where some of them are have 7 millimeters size, but Swarovski don't sell 7 millimeters, so I had to get to cubic zirconias. Then when I mixed them between cubic zirconias and
yeah,
Swarovskis,
yeah.
most people would be like, "Well, can you see the difference between the Swarovskis and cubic zirconias?" A little bit because you see a bit more glitter and sparkle in the cubic zirconias because the way they're cut compared to like how the Swarovskis to me, it's almost like they do the stock stones, but yet it's not in plastic form. It's literally like a crystal, so it sparkles a lot better than the stock stones. And I when I did do Swarovski crystals, I actually helped with your tactic video using the Gemtech glue. In fact, I have like overused 2 bottles of Gemtech glue on the WWE spinner alone and my network logo belts. But then when I start realizing about using cubic zirconias, I can't use Gemtech glue because they have no foil in the back.
Oh,
And
okay.
obviously, you will see. And I mean, yeah, it may dry clear at the end, but then it can look like a foggy like texture.
Yeah,
But then I've seen other people do it, and that's where I got the thought of using E6000 because it's kind of like hot glue.
yeah.
But the thing is, you never want to use hot glue on when you're stone belts anyway. Like I said, like E6000, I start using now for ear Swarovski or cubic zirconias because it's clear both in wet and dry form. But I gotta say, doing the stonework, especially with smaller stones, I tell you, it was a pain in the ass to do this those two
Yeah.
millimeter stones. Literally, I drop them on the floor. I'm looking for hours trying to find it until I see a sparkle on the light. And I'm like, oh, there it is. But to put them in with just a toothpick is a pain. And that's why I say I literally have respect for those that do stonework
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
they like all the guys tweezers and toothpicks. It's a real doozy to do that stuff. But yeah, so like for me, I like to have my collection almost as close to the TV accuracy as possible. That's why if it's a WWF belt, I like it to be WWF. And two, like the Big Eagle. When the Big Eagle on WWE Shop, it's just too flat. It's not curved enough. Like I mean, the earlier, like the modern scratch logo versions. I don't know how the block logo version is. I don't know if they curved that one.
They do.
Oh, they did? All right.
Yeah.
Now I see more replicas are now being more curved because now I'm mostly afraid of trying to curve the belts myself because I tried curving my network logo belts and I'm always afraid of cracking them or breaking them. And I'm like, oh, dang. Because I'm not going to just try to apply heat on the back of them and try to bend it because that's how you burned your hands.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen videos like that. People like literally take the plate of the belt or put the belt itself and tie it around like those big smokers barbecues and then it'll melt down to that form. I'm like, first of all, you could risk ruining your strap if you have the strap on it. But if it's just the plate itself, you're worried about as well if it melt the like if it heats up the plate enough, the paint on the plate might just flake off or melt off
Yeah.
and all that. And that's why I was worried about using heat, if anything, to try to do that. But so far, it does well. And do you think that the modern belts could equal up to like the belts of your past, like the 80s and 90s forms, like the modern day US title? Does it compare or even be better than like the WCW five plated US?
I mean, I don't think anything is going to compare to what we grew up watching and looking at, as kids and adults. Because if you think about it now, the kids today that are 5, 10 years old, they're going to grow up 20 years from now and they're going to see the current undisputed title and they're going to think that is their like winged eagle belt for us. How we grew up looking at winged eagle belt, they're going to look at the Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes title as that's going to be like their winged eagle for them.
Yeah,
20 years from now, they're going to have another belt design and people are going to be saying, "Oh, I wish it would go back to the undisputed belt."
because like I started watching the Big Eagle was just going out, and the Big Eagle came in, and then I started watching more. I got out of it a bit, and then came back when it was the undisputed belt, and then it moved right to the spinner. Everyone hated the spinner, but then it's like you have the spinner. Why are you collecting it?
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. I mean, like I grew up watching more of the people holding the spinner belt than back then with the Big Eagle. But then when I go rewatching it on the network or on when it's on Peacock, I see more of watching the belts from the past. Yeah, like the belts could look fantastic. I mean, I have the US belt and that thing looks beautiful. But when you compare it to like the old school version, like I remember of the classic WWE US. I mean, it clearly reads US belt with the American flag as the main plate.
Yeah.
And WCW looks prestigious too. I mean, I gotta get that one down. But I was growing up with WWE, so I remember like Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero and them holding the classic WWE US belt.
Yeah.
And that one I see as a probably one of the best. And I'd say the modern day one maybe just a step lower, if not yet a real close second from that one.
Yeah, I'm a
Even the
big fan. Yeah, I'm a big
yeah,
fan of that old WWE United States title.
because I've seen your
I've owned a few of them, and I just absolutely love each and every one that I get in this house. And
yeah.
I'm a big fan. Of course, I had the current United States title as well at one time, and that is a fantastic replica as well. It really is. Just everything looks good. I mean, I don't really care for the leather on the stock strap, but
Oh,
uh,
but I wanted to try to start replacing these stock straps.
yeah,
I
but
just got
the
I just got
plates are
rid of the whole
so
back.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
The
Yeah,
plates are
because
so good on that replica.
I say they do good for the plates. The strap, that's why I say most people get the plates and then they'll just wait till they get the send-outs. Like for me, I'm just waiting to get the send-outs if I can stop trying to collect replicas and belts. That's the worst part. It's literally collecting belts is like for some people getting tattoos. Once you get one, you just can't stop.
Yeah.
And I say, and I tell people like their best solution, like if you're gonna collect belts, just knowing which one you prefer to have. I say just stick to getting one that you like the most, or the ones you probably, if you watch wrestling, go get the one you watched as a kid.
Yeah.
Like for me, I remember watching the hardcore matches. Like I love the hardcore belt. Heck, my first belt, I made homemade belts. I made the hardcore belt being my first video. Even though I made the WWE spinner, I made a hardcore belt. And I had no measurements whatsoever. I was just taking it right off the toy belt I had. And now I made like four of them, and I have one of them signed by Mick Foley himself, which I'd say it's kind of like a great honor for me to have one of my homemade belts be signed by someone who held that belt before.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to have a WWF hardcore title in my collection. I don't like the WWE shop replica. I don't
Yeah,
know, man. It just looks too. I don't
too
know.
clean or too
Yeah,
delayed. Like
yeah.
I
I
got
just don't
this
like
one
it.
here, and I told them to be as almost as accurate to like the one you see on TV. Like this part here with the main plate, because I've seen like how Road Dogg had the title and his belt was like that. And I don't know how close this is to like the actual belt because I think the red's just a little bit too bright, but it's as accurate as they'll get to being a hardcore belt. And I still say I love the this version of the hardcore belt because, like for me, collecting a hardcore belt, you just got to go the bootleg era. You can't go do WWE's version because
Yeah.
they don't have the block WWF logo on them. Or unless you replace all that duct tape and then just try to put a WWF logo on it, but then again, you still worry about the E block logo.
The E block logo really doesn't bother me as much. Like the winged eagle replicas and stuff are so good.
Well,
They
yeah,
really are.
especially when they brought the Winged Eagle back for WWE. Now it
Yeah.
really don't matter to people because A, you can pretend to be Kevin Owens holding that block logo Winged Eagle now.
Yeah.
But
There
do you
you go.
think this should gone the dual plated way when Cody Rhodes came out with it, or do you think it's okay for them to go all gold?
I mean, the old school collector in me thinks they should have had the dual plated version at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, because
But
that's what I would do with.
but I understand why they went with the gold one because all them interviews ago, Cody Rhodes always pointed at the gold one. He always said that was the title he grew up. That's the title he remembers the most was the gold one. I get it. He wanted the gold one back. But the old school mentality in me is thinking the dual bladed one should have been on Saturday
Like
night's main event.
WrestleMania 4 Winged Eagle.
Yeah. But it's okay.
Yeah, because to me, it really don't matter. Exact same design, and plus two, how would anyone know if it's actually dual plated with the lighting? Because some lighting, it's hard to tell if it's all gold or dual plated when they got lightings in the arenas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as well, do you feel like since they said one night, it's funny because they say for one night only, but yet everyone knows it's not one night only. But I feel like they could have do this more often. Like since they're gonna bring back old school like paper like shows like Saturday Night Main Event or that, do you think once in a while they could maybe go back into the warehouse and bring back some old school titles? Like wouldn't mind seeing Gunther bring out the old school big gold again, at least for one night.
I think it would be cool. I would love to see it. The old school collector me would definitely love to see it. I don't think they'll do it. Um, I think it was Dan McMahon said that WWE has a real winged eagle, a WWE version that they could potentially be using for Kevin Owens going forward. Now
Yeah,
I don't
because
know how I don't
right
know
now
how
he's
true
just
it is.
using a replica.
Yeah, he's just using the replica. So we'll see what happens in the future.
And I hear one person that was saying about that because he came out with like how Cody came out defending a replica belt, but most people are like saying, yes, it's a replica belt. So was the Miz belt, but then again, if he came out defending it, it's actually a ring used belt, like a
Yeah.
real belt. And it's like even with the WWE patch on the back and the screws exposed. Yeah, I prefer to have a real belt. But I see a reason why, because they said the Miz
Yeah.
did that with the replica, so he can at least keep the replica.
Yeah, he
But the,
took that belt home with him. Yeah.
but the thing is, I'm pretty sure some WWE superstars actually have a replica for them after they win that title. Like think of Edge. I'm pretty sure he owns many of those belts I've seen in his workout place.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't look like replicas. I think some of them could have been made like backup belts that he kept, like the rated R belt. I don't know if it was the one he used in the ring or a replica, but I do know he has to at least own it since it was his belt.
Yeah, a lot of the wrestlers, I think Rhea Ripley had went live a couple of days ago on Instagram, and she's got like a DTOF case behind her of all the like the Raw women's, the SmackDown women's, and all that stuff. They're all replicas. But I'm sure like back in the day, like Edge and some of these people, I think China was one of them. I'm sure back then you could probably go to Jamar and probably get one made. Give
Yeah,
him
because
five
I think
grand, 10 grand or something, and
because of
I'm
Stone
sure he
Cold.
would make them a real copy.
Yeah, because Stone Cold he kept the original Reggie IC after he almost broke it. I think was it a broken neck? Because I forget. Because
Yeah,
in the documentary they said he broke his neck, but it could have just
yeah,
been cushion in his neck. But when Owen dropped him on his head, he kept that Intercontinental title.
yeah,
But then he always put it out on loan. But like some people say, they could keep certain belts. But now with WWE, they make it to where they can have multiple backups.
yeah,
So it's like if you take a backup home with you, who would know? I mean,
yeah,
it's like they always say they keep ones for house shows, they keep one for person to carry from person to person. I mean, yeah, they're responsible to hold the title, but they as well if they have a right to keep one if you have multiple backups.
yeah,
And plus, two with WWE being a big company, you take one, you think they have enough money to have another one to put in its place.
yeah,
I mean, because it's like, yeah, it's like 5,000 or supposedly 10,000 a belt, but it's like you're a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm pretty sure $10,000 to you is like $20 for someone like me or you, and that, and obviously maybe difference from people to people, but it's like some people wouldn't mind keeping a part of their history because it's like I get it. Maybe not keep the one that you use on TV that's been defended by person to person,
yeah,
at least have one that's like maybe the backup. Like I could have a backup one you keep in case I lose the real one.
yeah,
And that's what I would mind. Like, cause I know like how Cena he keeps his spinners. And like I like when JBL destroyed that one spinner on SmackDown, that one was just a replica. Because the real one, it would not have a trademark symbol on John Cena's name on the bottom of it. And I heard that when he won the US title, he was supposed to bring it back with the version 2 with the nameplate because there were some belts made with the nameplate on that one. But I think
yeah.
that was
Yeah, I don't know the full story on that one, but I do remember some of the replicas having that nameplate on there.
yeah, because I've seen like one video on YouTube where a guy actually owned like a rare version of that. It was a version 2, and it didn't have Word Life or John Cena on it. It actually just had a nameplate on the spinner part. But what I'm thinking, if that was actually true, how good would the spinner be when you're trying to screw a nameplate on that thing? Because don't you think you would hear a scratching noise or something? And as well, I like it better if WWE tried to do this more often. They only did it for two belts, like you mentioned them. It's for the WWE spinner and the women's Attitude Era women's title. If it has nameplates or even side plates, make it to where you screw them from the front, not the
Yeah,
back. Because Dave, you're talking about a replica, yeah, it's a replica. But if you want the belt to make it like the real deal, do it more like it ones on TV. Making sure you can screw them from the front. Like people could do that with other nameplates, like they drill holes into the plate where the screw thing was, or they get them and they get the Chicago screws, where
yeah,
you just stick the one ports in the back and then just screw them from the front, which I do mostly for my belts. But I feel like WWE needs to go all out for stuff like that, like just a little changes here and there, and then they could be top quality replicas.
I agree.
Because if you could do it for a WWE spinner to screw from the front, because obviously it'd be kind of a long screw if you did it from the back. But if you did it for other belts like the big gold, the undisputed, the tags, and all that, I think the belts will be much more of a collector's item than anything else.
Yeah,
But
and
as one,
a lot of people want the screws to be in the front. A lot of people want that. We're tired of having to like flip the belt over and try to
mm,
unscrew everything from the back. If
well,
everything was screwed in from the front, it'd be a lot better.
yeah, because even like the real belts, sometimes they have those Chicago screw type things in the back. From most, like, because you've seen those videos like on YouTube where the certain superstar wins like the WWE title and they replace the screws in the back. You can
Yep.
still see some of them have the Chicago screw ports on the back of that leather when they do that. But for like real belts, you want the whole belt, the backing to be covered. You don't want anything exposed.
Yep.
And for me, I feel like if you screw from the front, it's better. I mean, I don't know why they won't do that. And even better yet, for the ones that for the side disc, how come they have them hollow? I feel like they should put like a flat plate in the back as well for that,
I
instead of
agree.
having those little ports to hold the disc.
Yep.
That's another investment they should try to do. But as well, speaking of which, do you think it's better to prefer them to have belts that do the thing with screwing the nameplates or the side disc, or where it's just nothing like that at all? Kind of like the old school belts, like the Winged Eagle again, the Big Eagle, and all them. Do you think the nameplate thing was just not the ideal thought for a belt?
I mean, I'm not a big side plate guy. I'm not. I just really don't care. It's not really my thing. A lot of people get into side plates, but I really don't care about them, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm gonna always prefer the Winged Eagle and like the Intercontinentals, to where the title could change hands and you don't have to swap out a nameplate every week or whatever.
Because
Because
like
then, because then, as let's just say John Cena defeated the Undertaker, uh, but then John Cena is holding up the belt, but he's still got Undertaker's nameplate on the belt. Like, it kind of kills it for me when he holds up the belt and people take pictures, and now you've got John Cena with the Undertaker nameplate on the belt, right?
kind of like how
If that
Jennifer
nameplate
Holden
was
with
not
Randy
there,
Orton.
it would look so much better, in my opinion, because then it would just be, I don't know, man. I would just prefer it if it was just like the old school, like Winged Eagle and Intercontinentals and stuff, to
Yeah.
where you didn't have to deal with all the nameplates or side discs or anything like that. It could
Or if
just
they're going to
bounce
defend the
around from
belt.
person to person.
Or if they're going to defend the belt, maybe to like, because I've seen a couple times when they defend their belts, sometimes they just still have the normal stock disc in them. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to defend it and if it changes hands, keep it like that. So when they have a new champion crown, why have it where they have the other person's thing on there? Because it just almost looks like they're doing a segment where they actually are just holding up their opponent's belt, saying they're going to be the next champions.
Yeah.
Could do that, or just like I would say because when you're holding those belts up with the nameplates and that, and it's not that person holding it, or even the fact is, like imagine like how it was with Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio with the U.S. title. One like literally 2 weeks they changed hands. It's like
Yep.
Kalisto won the title from Del Rio and they replaced it with him, and then on SmackDown he loses it again, and then they have to replace it just as quickly. It's like people don't have time to be switching out nameplates, or yeah, if they
Yeah.
have them stock and ready.
Yeah. And if you didn't have nameplates on the belt, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But I get it, right? It's a cash grab for WWE shop to sell side plates and all that stuff. I get it. It's just more money in their pockets. I get it.
But then try to do that with the nameplates belts. Like, oh, get like this, like for like $50, get the Undertaker style nameplate for the Undisputed and all that, or the big golds, like those nameplate ones instead of the side disc. Because most people probably won't buy those belts with side disc. Like for me, I almost thought of getting an Undertaker side disc for these belts, but then it's like Undertaker never won a belt and never had those side discs. And two, I don't even think he would have those type of side discs in his belts because WWE always wants to be crafty with making side discs for certain superstars that will never win them and have that.
Yep.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, the purple looks pretty cool, but
Yeah, it
chance are, do
does.
you think it would be purple and have that logo, or would it be more like this demon face logo on one belt and the purple maybe Undertaker logo on a black background?
Yeah, that's why I'm so glad that The Undertaker was able to win belts back in the day, the Winged Eagle, the Big Eagle, the Undisputed, because I cannot picture the Undertaker walking around with a network logo with customized side plates. I
I
just
mean,
can't
don't
do
get me
it.
wrong, he is a poster child for WWE because he stuck with WWE in the worst times when he could have jumped back to WCW.
Yeah.
So to see him today just holding a big WWE logo on his shoulder
Yeah,
when
I just cannot do it, man. I cannot do it. It'd be so awkward and so weird to see him holding a blue universal belt over his shoulder or something. It'd be so
well,
weird.
but like speaking of which as well, of designs, how do you feel about the having their belts being almost exactly the same, especially that time when the WWE Championship and Universal Championship were around, and of course with the female titles, like the Raw, SmackDown women's titles, and of course the WWE and Universal titles, all the exact same design. Do you feel like they should have gone that route? Because it almost feels like UFC when it comes to that. Because UFC had the exact same title designs, no matter of class, weight, or gender.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of like Liv Morgan coming out with her women's world title and then Gunther coming out with his exact same world title. I
the only
get it.
difference is the strap color and
Yeah.
size.
Yeah, I get it. But like I just don't like it, man. I missed back in the day when, Trish Stratus and Lita had her women's title and Cena had his spinner and like every belt was different. The oval IC, the tag titles were different. Like everything was so different and had a personality to the belt. Whereas
Well, I think yeah,
nowadays everything is the exact same.
just with a different color strap. But at
Yeah.
least they changed it up a bit with the Raw World and the SmackDown's WWE tag titles. They're a different design
Yeah.
from each other.
Yeah.
And obviously the WWE one, it brings back memories of the classic WWE SmackDown tags because of the
Yeah.
design wise. And I think it's the only belt right now that has 5 plates. Technically 5 plates, unless you want to count like the modern day undisputed with those sidebars being counted as plates. Because I don't think of those as
I
plates.
wouldn't think so. No.
So literally the only belt that has 5 plates, and yet only the 3 plates that most people would see because most people don't worry about the 5 plate one, but it's a cool belt.
Yeah.
And even
I mean technically, man, if you want to get technical, the Winged Eagle is back. So,
Winged
that
Eagle
is
came back. Okay, so yeah, even for one night only. Yeah, the only time. But wait, was that 5 plate or a 6 plate if you count the
I
property?
guess it I guess it would be 6 plate technically.
Yeah, that's saying because it had a property plate, so it counts as 6 plate.
Also,
So,
man, let me say this just real quick. Congratulations on getting over 600 subscribers. I think that's really cool of you, man.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you for getting 600 subscribers and continuing with all your boat reviews and things, and
Yeah.
just making daily updates and going live on the weekends and stuff like that. You're pushing out a lot of content and a lot of videos and stuff. So congratulations, man. I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you a lot, man. Because I say there's not a lot of people that would I know that would do something like this and be continued there. Because I know like some people would probably give up because they want to get to 1,000 within a couple of years. But it's like for me, I see this more like as a hobby type thing because if I
Yeah,
really want to be a big YouTuber, I'll be trying as hard as I possibly can. And
yeah,
I know I'm working my way up there. And I'm lucky enough I had enough to get to do this live stream stuff and do stuff like this. And sooner I know when I get to 1,000 and get ad revenue, it'll help me out because that means I get more money to do it and stuff like this and help me out more to have fans. Because I know some people get thousands. Like you're up there with like tens of thousands subscribers as well, right?
honestly, I think the last time I checked, I don't check very often because I'm not a numbers guy. So I don't ask me how many I have. Uh, but the last time I saw, I think it was 16,000. Um, so
Well,
I
I've
don't
seen
know
thousands.
I don't know the exact number. So so
Yeah,
don't
but
quote me
you've
on it.
been doing this longer than I have, and I'm thinking like for me, I've been doing this for almost 8 years because by the 17th it'll be my 8th year here, and I was lucky enough to at least get 200 subscribers within last year alone. And yeah, I've been doing a lot for this time. And two, I just thought, wow, I was just gonna do like make homemade belts for a little bit and just call it quits because I was just doing this for fun. But then when I
Yeah,
did something good, like I like kid behind the camera, like him with the angry grandpa, I gave him a belt from his to his dad after he passed away as a memory belt. And the next thing you know, my whole like channel start coming up like, "Hey, Michael's looking for you." He's like, "Do you have X?" Thanks to him, that what I did, I now have a, I have social media. Like I have X right now or Twitter. Back in that time, it was Twitter before they changed to the X. But yeah, I say like I do stuff to help me build up the channel, and yet I do as much as I can when I can. Because like for me, I also have a backup job as well, not just YouTube. I work on the weekdays and that, and then
Yeah.
sometimes the weekends. And I tell people, I try to make videos as possible. I keep people updated what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know anybody in the belt collecting like world that does like this stuff for as a real time job. I think all of us have real jobs. My channel used to be monetized. I used to make ad revenue off videos and stuff, but I since turned all of that off because, like you said, I do all of this just for fun. All of this is just a hobby, right? This is
Yeah,
all of this is just an escape from my 9 to 5 job throughout the week. It's just an escape from everything else in the world. This is just me trying to enjoy. I don't want to have to worry about YouTube payments and money and Google AdSense and little things like that. Or I got to make sure I got to have an ad at the beginning of my video, then I got to have one in the middle of my video because when I watch a video, I want to watch the content of that video. I don't want to watch ads. Although we don't like commercials, man. We don't like commercials.
because I'm shocked. I watched some of my old videos, and some of them actually had ads on them, but I don't think I got paid for them. Like, who is going to the main event of WrestleMania? Well, that we do not know. I do know we're going to probably suspect Cody to go to the main event of WrestleMania. At least that's one of them. But like I said, yeah, like for me, I don't expect to get content or like to make money off this content. But I do stuff to make people see that because when I started my channel, I was just like, you know, I just I never thought I'd collect replica belts and that because I always thought they were too expensive. So I would just make them myself. And when I start doing that, people looked at it and was like, wow. I mean, I made a homemade European belt. It's so far as I know, it's the first belt of the home. I mean, it's the first homemade version of that belt on YouTube. I because I
Really?
looked everywhere on YouTube. I have not seen any homemade European belt except for my own. If there's any that came after that, I'm still the first for that.
Man, the European belt is low key a really good belt. I have one right there over my shoulder, and I love it, dude. It's such a
I got one right there.
underrated belt.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. It really is.
I heard they were supposed to continue with it until they discontinued it back in when they unified it with the Intercontinental. It was supposed to be designed to be have the nameplate. Belt Van Dam owned that version and sold it to a private collector. But I'd say the European belt could make a comeback if they do NXT Europe.
Yeah, I
Because
mean they could. I mean they're there for a while. They did like the NXT UK belts and all that stuff, and I thought that was when they were gonna. I thought
that's
that
what
was when they were gonna pull the trigger on the European title, but they didn't do it. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
because they were going to do it because they were talking about doing NXT Europe. That's why they stopped doing the NXT UK. But I don't know what happened with that. I guess they got sidetracked, or that was Vince McMahon's idea, and they stopped it from there. And now they're going with WWE ID, which I don't
Oh
understand
yeah.
about.
Yeah, I
But
don't really. I'm not educated enough about that either. I know it's like I think a Netflix thing or something they're doing,
yeah, but
or I don't know. It's
yeah. And
we'll see what happens with that, I guess.
And plus, too, think of there's certain people that say maybe WWE is bringing out too many title belts. But do you think back in the day they almost had a title belt for everything, like the hardcore European,
Yeah,
the light heavyweight title being one of them. But
yeah.
doesn't I mean, do you think too many belts ruin a company, or do you think that should or it won't matter at all? I mean, because if there's enough wrestlers in there for a division, then everyone should fight for a belt. It shouldn't matter how many belts they can have. And plus, two, most wrestlers you don't see unless they say they're in the catering area, and that's why they brought out the 24/7 belt to give them a chance. I
Yeah.
feel like they should at least maybe then because with Travis Scott, said he has the hardcore belt. Maybe they should have reactivate the hardcore belt so they can at least give the people that spend in carrying a chance to at least be on TV and go for a championship.
Yeah, you could bring back the hardcore title, which they possibly could with Netflix. I mean, absolutely, they could get away with a lot more with like a lot of the hardcore stuff with Netflix. The 24/7 title was cool. It gave people stuff to do, but some of it was really cheesy and constantly rolling people up, out of nowhere and pinning them 1, 2, 3, and
Yeah,
uh,
and plus two thing when you had our troop win it for like what they say like 50 something times supposedly, though you can't really clearly see him win it like 50 times. I'm very sure they just did that to try to take like like most reigns out of the question because so far as I know with most title reigns he's up there like 27 with the hardcore belt.
oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I heard it from I think it was either Hazard F5 or Paul Martin. He talked about it before when he was doing a hardcore belt, but as well when they brought back the cruiserweight division. Do you think that the cruiserweight division was a good idea if they would have brought that back?
I thought the cruiserweight division was good in the ruthless aggression era.
I
I didn't really care for it. You know, what was it like Enzo Amore and things like that? I thought that's when it
the
kind of
205.
started to. Yeah, I thought that was when it kind of started to like fizzle out,
And
and
plus
it
two,
just
I
wasn't
feel
the
like they
same.
kind of plus two, it didn't feel right during the 205 era because after all, back then the ruthless aggression era, cruiserweight range was 220 or lower. Seems now they lowered it more because I think 220 was the light heavyweight era when WWF had the light heavyweight belt. And then when they unified it to cruiserweight, it was somewhere in that range from 220 or lower. But then when they got rid of it and had a new version of it, it was 205 and lower. I mean, I have the WWE cruiserweight belt. I'd like to have the ruthless aggression version. The purple one's still pretty good. I got that one restoned in that, and it's beautiful. I don't have the NXT one, but why would you want to
Man,
like that? Like
man,
why would
I
you?
reviewed a uh, a WWE cruiserweight ruthless aggression from Great Custom Belts. Dude, I loved that belt. I thought it was so good. That is a belt I definitely want for my own collection. Is that ruthless aggression cruiserweight? I'm not a fan of any of the other ones. I don't like the purple one, and I'm not a fan of it. But that
I mean,
ruthless
it's usually
aggression
because they're
cruiserweight's
trying to
beautiful.
match up with the division. It's like saying because 205 Live at that time was its own division. At least they go with purple. Imagine if it was the orange.
Yeah. I don't
Every
know.
day,
To me, 205 Live just felt very forced. It
kind
just,
of. It was
yeah, I just didn't like it.
it was like another version of like NXT, like how NXT replaced ECW. It was kind of like a second version of like NXT because
Yeah,
it was like its own like thing. And then now they come out with Speed, which is its own thing on X. Where
yeah.
I feel like, don't you feel like they should be releasing those replicas of those Speed titles, or is it because the fact is because most people were wondering when they're going to release those titles?
The speed title is something I probably won't buy, to be honest with you. I could see why collectors would want the speed title. I could see why they would want it. But it's just not something I really care for.
Because it's not
Um,
really like an actual wrestling belt. It's because it's only for something they do for what 3 or 5 minutes.
yeah, and I don't know what I know what the belt looks like, but I don't know if they have like an X on it or they have like a Twitter logo. I don't know. So
Probably
maybe
because
that.
they won't allow it. They have to get
Yeah,
some royalties for it.
yeah. So I'm assuming there's probably an X or a Twitter logo somewhere.
Yeah,
But I don't know for sure. So that could be like the holdup as why there's
yeah,
not a replica of it.
yeah. And as well, speaking of like as well, another one, the women's division. Do you think it's about time they deserve about the equal amount of belts as the men? Because now they got two mid card belts, the U.S. and the Intercontinental. But do you feel like it should be a better looking version, not look like the men's? Do you think they
Yeah,
should deserve maybe like classic designs as well for them?
yeah.
Or
Kind
the
of like how we talked about earlier, that like how all the belts look the same. I
yeah,
I I, I wish I wish there was differences between all of the belts. I
like I said,
cannot stand all of them looking exactly the same with just different colored leather. I do not like it.
yeah, because I would say like the U.S. belt can have the look and design of it, but maybe replace the eagle with the Statue of Liberty in the front, like the face of Lady Liberty in it with the
Yes.
crown going out. I feel like that would probably be a better design wise than just sticking to the classic version of it.
Yeah, there
Even
were
the
some really cool AI pictures out there of like the Statue of Liberty on the main plate of a United States title, and it looked really cool. So I wish they would have went with something like that for like
because they
Lady Liberty on the belt. That would be really
yeah,
cool.
because I say it'd be a better symbol than the eagle, because eagle's more of like a man thing, I assume. I mean, not
Yeah,
saying that women don't
kind
like
of.
eagles, but like Lady Liberty being the symbol for a woman
Yeah,
U.S. belt.
yeah.
Just something like the Intercontinental belt as well. It doesn't have to look like the men's one, even if you had it where it's just a big globe, maybe like a throwback to the Oval IC or the Reggie IC, just one globe on it and some other form of design. Because the women's tag belts are completely different from any design from the men's tag belts,
Yep.
even though they kind of almost resemble those old penny tags.
Yeah, I could see your point there. They kind of resembled them,
But
but I think
luckily,
that's what makes that's what makes them unique though, is because they look so different compared to everything else. Yeah, I wish that the women's United States did not look like the women or the men's United States. I wish that the men's Intercontinental didn't look like the women's Intercontinental. It's too hokey. It's too cookie cutter. I just don't like it.
yeah, and the only change is they put an extra banner on the plate that says women's. That's how you
Women's.
know the difference. Or it's just a color strap. It's like, so really, every women's title has to have a white strap.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because it's almost that's why they changed the men's Intercontinental title from a white strap to a black one, because they were using white for most of the women's. But then again, the first ever women's titles for Raw and SmackDown, it was not literally white. It was like a pearlish color. It just looked white on the in certain lightings and on camera.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it was more of a pearlish color, which I believe most of them are, it's just that with the lighting it makes it look like white. But I said obviously they don't want to go pink because they don't want to make the women be like too girly like those divas back in the day.
Yeah.
That butterfly belt, oh my god.
Terrible. Terrible. Oof.
Yeah. I mean, as well as they even calling them women's for so long. I remember back in the day, WWF, they used to call them ladies titles. I'm surprised why they changed it to women's because most companies now call them women's. Like, unlike TNA, they call them knockouts.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, do you think it's better if they would have just be different from the rest? Like, maybe go back to the old school days, calling them like the ladies championships instead of women's?
I mean, a name like that really doesn't bother me whether they're knockouts, ladies or women's. I just want there to be enough women on the roster to have good matches and good storytelling. That's really what I care for. I
Yeah.
don't want everybody. There doesn't need to be like 27 belts in a company.
Yeah,
You
because I
could
agree
minimum.
with that. Because, like,
Yeah,
if they
there's
bring
way too
out the
many.
hardcore belt and that's like a men's division belt, imagine they come out with the women's hardcore belt. One's gonna look like it'd be funny. Let it be if they ever come up with a women's hardcore belt, which I'm pretty sure they won't because it probably may be an intergender belt. Have it be the Divas belt, all smashed up and taped up or glued together. Because that belt deserves to be smashed.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
Because I have many designs. Because the thing as well, the like how the hardcore belt was during the time when the Big Eagle was the main belt. They had used the old winged eagle for that. And I thought if they ever came back with the hardcore belt, they should have maybe done it with the scratch logo, like WWE Championship, not the use the like a replica undisputed and smash that up. It
There you
should be
go.
a belt before that become a hardcore belt. Follow that tradition.
Yeah,
Or if anything,
exactly.
do you think it would have been more like a big eagle belt or undisputed being a hardcore belt?
Yeah, those are some good ideas.
That's what I was saying. Like, well, then again, the hardcore championship could also change from person to person, like they did back in the day as well. Like how when JBL wore it, he had it Smoking Skull Texas version, and then Tommy
Yeah.
Dreamer, the last one, a European New York version.
Yep.
So I say, like, and as well, another thing. How do you feel about people with the signature series belts that WWE Shop does, or for personal belts like the eco-friendly belt, the rated R? Do you think that really varies for champion to champion if they have their own personal belt? Or
Yeah,
does
I
it
mean,
make them unique?
I don't think everybody should have like a signature series. Like I think the Edge one is kind of weird. Like I understand Edge is a Hall of Famer, all that stuff, but to me, his Oval Intercontinental signature series belt, like the blue and white one, I don't know, it just looks weird.
Yeah, or like the China one. I can see the China one being different, I mean, the first woman to win a men's intercontinental title. She helped. I'm pretty sure that was the reason that helped inspire them to use a women's intercontinental title. And I'm surprised they were
It's
going to say they're going to call a first ever women's intercontinental champion. Like, technically, that's not true. China is and always will be the first women's intercontinental champion. Just
true.
that she won a men's belt for it.
Yeah, I think some of those signature series belts are terrible, man. I'm just being honest with you. They
That's
really
why I said
are.
I never want to collect a signature series belt, no matter how cool they are. Even Undertaker's like signature series belts. I just like to collect belts that are more like the ones you see that they're defended and used on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
So
like
some of them are terrible. Some of them look cool, but I'm not a fan of them, man. I'm really not.
even like the sports teams ones. Like for me, my time favorites. Like I won't mind the Detroit belts, but they just look. Every belt looks the exact same, just with a different logo on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you're a diehard, I'm not a football fan. I'm not a sports fan. Just other than wrestling. So
Yeah,
all of those sports belts really don't do anything for me. But if I was a big sports fan and like I went to games and stuff like that, like and had tailgate parties, yeah, I would probably take one of those, like a Detroit Lions belt with me or whatever, and tailgate and
yeah.
woo and and all that stuff.
There's some WWE fans that are Detroit Lions fans and they go there with that. Only thing is, it's not a WWE shop anymore. There is no Lions belt. Why WWE? Maybe they're preparing for when they win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying, but knock on wood, because after all, tonight we got to face the Vikings. But as well, speaking of which, another thing as well about when it comes to signature series belts, when they keep bringing them out like different versions, like John Cena's got like multiple version series. Like now he's got that new one where it's like the farewell tour compared to his
Yeah.
original spinner with the and all those series like representing like 30 years and all that. Like, why would it? Do you prefer if you collect the exact same version belt more than once? Like even the Intercontinental before they had the blue paint. Do you rather have like we say? Do you think it's stupid for collectors to have the black globe version and then get the blue globe version, even though it's technically the exact same belt?
I mean, I don't think it's stupid. I see why collectors do it because eventually, like you said, that original Intercontinental with the black paint, that's the V1, right? So that with that being the version one, somewhere down the line, somebody is going to pay a lots of money for that version one Intercontinental title. Somebody will do it. I don't see a sense in collecting. Oh, I got to get the version one with has the black paint. Oh, they just released a new one with the blue paint. I got to buy the blue one too. I don't see a sense in doing that. I think that's silly, but again, I understand why people do it, but
Yeah,
I do
some
not
people
do that.
do it. Like for me, like the big silver ECW, that's not a WWE shop, and that there is one of the rarest belts I got, other than my uh, Figs Inc. United States spinner. Because now they got a new spinner, but then again, the Figs Inc. spinner is almost like over 20 something years old now, and you barely can find any of those anywhere. And as well, speaking of which, when you're trying to look for rare belts like Figs Inc.'s belts or like you said, like the WWE Ruthless Aggression cruiserweights and that,
Yeah,
you find them a lot harder to find like on eBay or Amazon, right?
yeah.
Because they made like thousands of these, and sometimes they're harder to find. Where you usually think about going to find them if they can, and if you can't find them, would you go the bootleg route?
Well, let's talk about it real quick. So over here, I have my Figures Inc. United States. That is my Figures Inc. I found that one on Facebook. That was in a belt group. A guy was selling it. I think it was 300. I don't remember the exact price. I'm pretty sure it was 300. I know that it's the 2 millimeter plates. I get it, right? I get it. I could buy a bootleg and it would be 4 mil plates, but I just love that United States title. I just like that a lot. I know it's getting rare to find, so I wanted that belt. However, I have a Figures Inc. Winged Eagle right here that I just bought on eBay. I found that one on eBay a couple of weeks back, and I mean, it's an older condition. Like the strap is kind of falling apart. It's
Yeah,
cracking on certain places and stuff. But you know what? I know that these official Figures Inc. belts are getting more and more rare, especially that WWF winged eagle.
Oh,
No,
you got to hold on to
nobody
that.
has a
That's like a
nobody
boy.
has a yeah, nobody has a WWF winged eagle hardly anymore. It's those fig ink belts are going to be super hard to find, and I
I
was
say,
so glad to find that one on eBay because man, don't get me wrong, I could have went the WWE shop route. I had the gold winged eagle from WWE shop. I thought it was a great replica. It's a fantastic replica. But once I saw that one, man, the F winged eagle, I was like, I have to have that F winged eagle belt because eventually those old winged eagles, nobody's gonna have them anymore.
yeah, because I say that version deserves to be an F version if you're old
Yes,
school.
yeah,
Like most people would go the E route because the E belt is now mostly recent. But for old school ones like you and me, we go the F route. I mean, I hate to say that, like, oh yeah, you guys go the F route, yeah, like F that and now that, but like no, because we grew up with that.
yep,
Back then, that was the World Wrestling Federation title,
yep,
and then if you want to go the new route, that's fine. But when you go old school, you want to go accurate. Some people are like that. When you go accurate belts, you want accurate logos because then it just looks. You can clearly see. I mean, yes, it's a replica still, but you want a replica that is as accurate as the real ones on TV.
yeah. I think one of the worst ones, and I'm just gonna be honest when I say this. I think the current WWE Big Eagle on WWE Shop, that the Attitude Scratch logo, I think that is one nobody should buy. If I'm just being honest, what we talked about it earlier, that it's just flat. It doesn't look good. That is one belt that I think that has to have a WWF scratch logo. Is the Big Eagle.
Yeah,
The Big Eagle having a WWE logo is so weird.
it
I, c-
looks
I could handle
weird.
the I could handle the blue one. To me, the blue one looked good. I had that one. The blue one looked good, I thought, but the regular scratch logo looks so odd on the
Yeah,
Big Eagle belt.
yeah, because I'd say certain belts. I mean, they gotta have the F logo. Like for me, like my big eagle here, I got from a guy from Instagram. It's got to have the F logo, and yes,
Yeah.
and yet for if and as well, I think the WWE version is it a painted white logo or is it the gold logo?
So on the main plate, on the very top, it's gold. It's a gold WWF logo or WWE logo. But on
Yeah.
the side plates, they're painted white,
So they
which
did
is
like a hybrid.
not accurate. It's not accurate.
So they did like a hybrid type of version.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning and hybrid version of the Big Eagle. I'm surprised they didn't
Yeah.
try like for the property plate. They do like the block WWE logo in there or something like that. Basically, make it a hodgepodge of the. Maybe that could be in the next signature series, like anniversary of the Big Eagle.
Yeah,
But
they need to fix it in my opinion. It's just not good. They need to curve it. They need to upgrade the leather because I believe that Big Eagle belt still has like sewn on snap box on that Attitude replica.
oh
You know,
yeah,
if
I
it,
hate belt with sew on snap boxes.
yeah,
Like
then like it's so outdated, man. Come on, do better, do
yeah,
better.
I mean the network logo US I own is a stitch on snapbox. Like really, my network logos belts were stitched on snap boxes until I got them releathered. Then every other belt beef after that was stamped, no stitch on snap boxes. I mean, I feel like stitch on snap boxes were probably the worst decision on making replica belts, unless it was part of the real belt. Kind of like how the modern world heavyweight title now they have stitching on the leather.
Yeah,
Other
well,
belts that
that's
you
that's
have the
different.
tune. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you had stitching on it, I will want that. If not, you shouldn't have that on the belt. Period.
the smoking skull is another one they need to fix, man. Come to think of it, because the
It
smoking
does not.
skull belt has stitching all around the border of the leather. It don't even have tooling.
Oh
This is
yeah, the
a
tooling is
smoking
the worst
skull
part.
replica. It's terrible, dude. That don't even have it doesn't even have I call it the sheriff badge, but it's the WWE property plate on the smoking skull belt on the
Yeah,
replica.
why did
It's
they
not
not
even
do
there.
that? Like,
I don't understand it, man.
yeah, because I got one from Shining Titles again, the Smoking Skull. I told him I want mine to be as ring accurate as possible with that property plate, and I showed him because I made my own smoking skull. Surprisingly, I lucky enough to get snakeskin vinyl for that one. But yeah, even the snakeskin backing on that one is not like the one on TV. It's not bright white in that. It's a little bit like a grayish look color, but it's still a good smoking skull belt. I'll give it that. And for as well, like the tooling wise, I don't know if it was like because everyone does different when it comes to tooling of belts. Like, would you like it when it has like a certain pattern on it, or you want TV accurate, or even no tooling at all? Like when I got my WCWS title, it has this weird hexagonal tooling in it. It looks pretty cool. I'll give it that. That's why I didn't worry much about leather on that one when it comes to tooling for the snap boxes. If they got a cool pattern on it, that's fine. Because I got those type. Because I think that's I have another one of those belts that have that type of hexagonal tooling into the snap box. But and as well, I would say like I say as well for like the tags. Do they vary for difference for logos as well? Like the classic title, like the bulldog tags. One thing is, uh, do you think WWE shops should bring the bulldog version tags out? Because all right now they have is those ones like dual plated or the ruthless aggression tags, or no wait, the attitude era tags.
I would probably have to go back and find out how long those bulldog tags were around because I don't know for a fact, and I don't know how many people held the bulldog tags. If a lot of teams held them, I would say go ahead and release like a special limited edition
Because they
because
did a big bulldog version of the Intercontinental. Why did they do it for a
yeah,
tag?
that yeah, you could if they go back overseas, they could do a special limited edition bulldog tag over there, and make it 1,000 belts or something like that, and they could do something like that.
Because as well, like they brought back the Hogan '86 and the Andre '87. I'm thinking, been over 40 years of WrestleMania. I'm surprised they didn't go back to the first WrestleMania WWE title, like the Hogan '85 or the '84 version. Because I feel like those two
Yeah,
were belts as well, even though it was only held by Hulk Hogan. You were able to
you know,
release the Hogan '86. Why not you bring out
yeah,
the WrestleMania stuff?
yeah. That's a good topic because to me it doesn't make sense for them to not release replicas of them belts because if you look at some of the action figures, Hogan has some of those old like 84, 85 belts with his action figure.
Yeah.
I've seen them. He has those belts. Cody Rhodes, they're releasing a new Cody Rhodes figure, and Cody Rhodes has the old uh the Bruno San Martino belt with the WWWF.
Oh, the
He
Backlund
has
belt.
that. Yeah, he has the Backlund belt. Thank you. He has the Backlund belt with him in that set. So I don't know why they're not making official replicas of these.
As I was
Even
saying,
even if the replica said like WWE, champion or whatever, I probably would still buy it because I think that's a good looking belt. I really want one of those Backlund belts for my collection. But
because
if
Fat
I'm
Dude
gonna go,
has Backlund belts.
yeah, if I'm thinking about buying one from FanDuel on a red strap with clear gems. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about buying one from them. I was kind of holding off to see if WWE would actually make like a big green or a Backlund belt and
Yeah,
start
that was
selling replicas.
the big ring. That was the
And
first WWF title. Technically, it was.
I'm like, man, there's all of this money to be made, uh, especially with Hogan. I think it was a year or two ago that was like 40 years of Hulkamania, or it was something like that happened.
Yeah, because
And
I
I was
met
like, well,
Hulk
not,
Hogan. He was pretty cool, and I
yeah,
tried to
didn't you
do.
go up there and didn't you get like beer signed by him or something like that?
I got a beer case signed by him, and I tried his
Yes,
beer.
yes, yeah,
I'm not much of a big beer drinker, and as well for people watching, please drink responsibly.
yes,
I mean, it's bad enough I met him with a sling on my shoulder because I dislocated my shoulder.
yeah.
But until I was surprised. I went there with this Hogan '86. I was hoping for him to sign that Hogan '86, but obviously he was only signing the beer. But like, hey,
Yeah.
still, it's like here, say hi and have a beer, or don't, or have him sign the beer case. Why not both? Because you're still getting a signature, and two,
Yep.
you're having a beer and you're meeting
Yep.
Hulk Hogan.
Exactly.
I mean, even though I say I'm not a good beer drinker because it was light beer. And for most people that drink beer, light beer is basically the straight up piss water of beers. It's either regular beer or nothing. Because even though yeah, beer is straight up piss water. I if anything, I'm more of a like a because that's another thing too. I wouldn't mind trying Stone Cold's IPA, but the thing is, it's not sold here in Michigan. You have to like
Uh,
get them off eBay or something, or someone that sells that, and you gotta ship it across states. And it's like at that point, you don't know what could be in that beer or anything. And two,
yeah,
I'm not usually drink. I don't know. I never drank IPAs, but like I said, like for big moments for wrestlers, like for me, I wish if I would able to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin and have a beer with him. Like
yeah,
that's a true wrestling fan's dream, ain't it?
yeah,
Like for
yeah.
me, I would.
I don't drink beer either. I'm not a Drew. I'm not, dude. I will barely have like a Smirnoff. And the Smirnoff is like what 5% alcohol, if that.
I
You
thought
know, it's
Smirnoff
it.
was vodka. That's
Well,
whiskey. That's whiskey.
no, Smirnoff. Well, it might be. I don't know. But like it's very little like alcohol
Yeah.
in it, right? And I like the fruity drinks like grape or watermelon or whatever. I've never drank
Wine
beer.
coolers.
I've never drank beer. I don't think I would like it. I don't like the smell of it. But it would be cool to have a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would be really cool.
Yeah, because they like I met some wrestlers and it was pretty cool to be with them. Like as well, like Sergeant Slaughter. They imagine getting into his camel clutch, taking a
Yeah.
photo after he signed yourself. Like people do that. I met Rob Van Dam. He was pretty cool. Got him to sign my ECW belt. I told him about that. How did it feel that you didn't get a belt like this? Instead, they gave you a replica when you had the real WWE spinner. I mean, that's the worst part about it. And two, another one on my list was Undertaker. I mean, I
Yeah.
know he could drink whiskey and that. I'd be like, hey, I'll chug down a couple of shots of Jack with him. I know I'll probably pass out in front of him and then he'd do some rib on me. But like I said, like that. And now if we go outside about wrestling belts, let's do because you talked about doing indie wrestling. When did you start doing indie wrestling?
Oh man, I think it was 2002. Um, I just started going to like local indie shows, and the promoter could tell that I was really into wrestling. Like I knew my shit. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I knew what I was talking about, and the guy was like, "Hey man, well we could use some extra hands like setting up the ring." And that's kind of like where a lot of people start off with is
Everyone starts with setting up a ring.
yeah, well, you got to be ring crew and all that stuff. Then eventually, ring crew, you went from like a referee, learning where to be, where the match is happening, and telling the wrestlers, hey, big boot, sidewalk slam, letting them know what's coming next and all
Yeah,
that
'cause
stuff.
you're
Or
like in the corner and you're backing them apart. One of them tells them the messages. Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
yeah, like exactly. And so you kind of knew where to be at certain times and things like that. And so I learned a lot of refereeing and things like that. Of course, refereeing, like I said, ring crew, all that stuff. And then eventually I was doing that and I was like, I'm kind of just sick of refereeing, man. I kind of just want to do something different. So I asked him, hey, could I start doing managing? And he said, no. He said, no, I don't want you to do it because I was so good at being a referee. And
Because I
so that
refereed
guy,
wrestling matches too for these groups of backyard wrestling.
I mean, it's fun. Refereeing is fun, but I just didn't want to do it anymore. I knew that I was a very like outgoing personality, and I knew that I could go out there and I could tell kids to shut up. And I know that I can be very animated when I talk to people
Yeah,
you know, and and so eventually I started becoming the heel
man,
bastard manager.
like a Paul
Uh
Heyman type of guy.
yeah, I dubbed myself as the world's greatest wrestling manager. And even though I wasn't, but that's what I dubbed myself as.
Hey, you
Um
came close. I'll say that.
uh,
Hey,
and it was a lot of fun. So I did the managing stuff for a while. Uh, did like gimmick matches and stuff because as a heel manager, the crowd wanted to see me get punched in the face. They wanted to see the evil manager just get his comeuppance, right?
who
And
doesn't?
so so eventually I would be thrown in gimmick matches like if my guy lost, the baby face would get 5 minutes in the ring with Hammer and could do anything he wanted to. And of course I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
and So like we did a lot of gimmick matches and stuff like that, and that was a lot of fun. But um, that wasn't for me at all. Like I don't consider myself a wrestler. I would much rather be a manager and things like that, and
Yep.
help people and help them along the way and educate them a little bit. Like I'm not gonna go out there and train people and tell them how to wrestle. That's not me. But I will give you pointers and tell you, hey, calm down a little. Don't be so excited. Don't be nervous. Relax. But that was a lot of fun. So I started in 2002, and I've got posters up in my office. Trying to figure out the date. Uh, it was probably I can't find it. I'm looking way too fast trying to find it. But it's been a couple years. I want to think it was like 2018, 2019 was when I finally decided, okay, enough is enough.
So
So
about 16, 17 years.
yeah, I mean, and including the ring crew, like with ring crew, you also had to like hang posters up in your town, put them on the vending machines and try to
Put
promote
those
on Facebook.
flyers out and all that.
Yep. Yeah, you had to do all that stuff. Hurry up and run to Office Depot, print a bunch of flyers, hang them up, tape them up, and people ripping them down, and it's like I got a ring, hang them back up, and yeah, we did a lot of that stuff back in the day.
Yeah, because I'd say like for me, because we did backyard wrestling. It wasn't like I mean, because it's literally a step down from indie. I did a bit of like refereeing there, but as well like 2014, we worked with this group of people that were doing YouTube videos, UWW Wrestling, Urban War Wrestling, they call them. And before they didn't even have a ring. They had just had a mat. We were wrestling in some guy's backyard. And yeah, it's as bad as it gets.
Ouch.
And thing is, me and my brothers and I we had our own thing, and we were just invading them. I remember the way they started it, there was like no rules. The fact is, it was like UFC rules. There's no determine who wins or loses. For the first time we started it. But then after a couple of years, because they we'd only been with them for like a couple of weeks or so, then we got away. Then 6 years later, like in 2019, 2020, we came back to do more wrestling. And it was in someone's neighborhood. So most of the neighborhood people come by watch. And one of the guys actually started learning and training to do wrestling. And I never thought I would be a wrestler either. Like I ever thought because that was after I dislocated my shoulder, and I never thought I'd do something like that. But turns out I was probably good at fast learning how to do bumps, how to run the mat, and do moves in that. Because I was literally everyone was just first we do the trains like running the ropes, go back and forth how to like do it from the like one arm and then take the flat bump, take the front bump, side to
Yeah,
side rollouts, and it was a workout. I'll tell you the truth. I felt
yeah,
I never and I suffer from asthma. I always thought I'd be out of breath doing it, but no, literally just doing that. I'm like, wow, this is kind of fun. And yeah, sometimes you maybe take a bad hit, and then I know how people say you get hit for real. You want to give people receipts. I was never like that. I would literally take a hit, be like, "Oh no, you're fine,"
yeah,
because we were all buddies in that.
yeah.
But I do
Yeah,
say,
yeah, I always tell people the number one rule in wrestling is to always, I don't care, to always protect your opponent. I don't care. Ain't no if somebody accidentally hits me, gives me a black eye, I'm not gonna turn around and be like, and I'm not gonna hit him as hard as I can. That is not my mentality how to do things.
yeah, give it.
Accidents happen unless you are absolutely like shooting on me, trying to hurt me. That's a different story. But if you accidentally really hit me,
Yeah,
that's a different. I'm not going to turn around and be mad at you. I'm not going to try to get my receipt in, brother, and hurt your back like that. That is not me at
like,
all. I laugh about stuff like that.
because like for me, my move set, I make sure of it that I don't break people's necks. I don't like break their legs or that. Mostly it's like some slams and some. Mostly my style is like brawler. I was mostly a punching and kicking and mostly leg drops and slams. Not the DD like I do maybe DDTs, but I make sure of it. I make sure they drop down flat in my back. Mostly their heads tucked in between my chest and shoulder, so their heads don't hit the mat.
Yeah,
And I know we did some weird stuff because there were some people that actually wouldn't mind bleeding, or they say juicing, or get color.
yeah.
I didn't know about doing that, and luckily enough, that I was a character that had to wear a mask, so I didn't have to worry about bleeding.
Okay.
And as well, when you say about wrestling, do you think it's better for people to be in a mask or out of a mask?
All right. I'm going to get brutally honest here. Okay, and I don't mean to offend anybody that watches this replay, but I think if you are, oh, this is going to sound terrible. Oh man, I think that if you are, oh, I think if you are somewhat goofy looking,
Like ugly or like,
yeah,
to be honest, if you have a
I'm
ugly
trying to
looking
be
friend,
really nice about it. I
yeah,
think if you are kind of goofy looking, you should put a hood on or a mask on, uh, to kind of make yourself a unique character because you don't want to come out there and then people see you and be like, look at that guy, he looks funny. You don't want that at all, right? But if you put a hood on or a mask on, you can be anybody that you want to be. If you if you're like a Barbie doll, if you're like a Barbie doll, like a Ken from Barbie, and you have like nice jaw muscles and like
you want to express
you look good. There's no reason for you to put a mask on. You look good. You look buff. You look like a good, clean, like guy,
that's just
right?
like an alter ego type of character.
Yes. Yeah. We had a guy in our local company. He went by like kind of like Evil Knievel, but he went by Johnny Knievel, and he wore a red mask, and he did all like the he was like a Jeff Hardy type guy, top rope, all that stuff. So he was Johnny Knievel, and we were like, dude, you're not an ugly looking dude. You know, when you take the mask off, like a lot of girls always want your phone number and stuff like that. Why don't we just remove the mask and you could just be you? Like you don't have to put a mask on. But if you've got like a real ugly, like scruffy beard and you don't take care of it, and
Oh, like me, like me. I mean,
well,
some people say that I look like Trevor Murdoch.
I could see that. I could see it. I really could. People tell me I look like Bubba Ray Dudley, and that's cool. I get it. Um,
And I got members of my family, like my dad's my godfather, who is his cousin. He looked like Shawn Michaels. I had an uncle who looked like Stone Cold. So yeah, and my dad almost looked like the Undertaker. But I gotta say, like for some people, I understand. Like they gave me a mask, and it's because they said I look too damn ugly, and I get it. Or they think this, oh look, Trevor Murdoch's wrestling with these guys. In fact, here's my mask they gave me, and
and like I understand it because they could give you a mask, and because they could give you a mask now, and like later on, you could take that mask off after you kind of learn more stuff and
because that's the thing.
educated.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, you could educate yourself a little bit more, and now you're a little bit more seasoned, and you could remove the mask and all that stuff. But if you come out there right out of the gate not wearing a mask and you're not good in the ring, everybody knows you suck. Everybody knows what you look like. At least with the mask, you can practice yourself and take care of yourself and
kind
learn
of
a
like
little bit
a Kane
more.
type thing. How he went
Yeah,
from Isaac Yankem to Kane.
yeah,
Obviously, how they did that. I mean, he was a good wrestler. I'm not saying he was a ugly or bad looking wrestler. It's just that the gimmick was bad, and they're like,
it
"We'll
was.
put him on a mask to get him studied." Because with me under a mask, I mean, I was good at wrestling and all that. I just think it was because I didn't look good. And after, because the last time we did a wrestling show, I became the world champion, and I went through a gauntlet match, literally gone through hell to do it. First beating my brother, and then I beat a guy that was like near, I think it was close to 300 or 400 pounds. He was like a Mark Henry type guy. Literally, if he laid down on me, I would have been smothered by his, not to be offensive, but belly fat. But he would have, he literally squashed me. I'm a near like 200-pound guy. I'm like a cruiserweight, and yet I'm trying to do moves that's equivalent to like Undertaker and that. But these guys literally beat me to death, and then I end up coming out winning the World Heavyweight Championship. We were trying to set up to where once we try to bring back UWW again, I come back, but this time near like I turn like a heel because I was a baby face for them. Because they say like certain people they're saying you wear a mask, most people will see you as a baby face. Because some people love people under masks. Like, yeah, if you're a luchador, maybe because luchadors, most of them wear a mask. It doesn't matter if they're uglier than you, and it's their culture. That's why I say mask is a difference between from company to company. Some it requires it because a it's part of their culture, it's part of how they do things. Other ones it's to build the character up, or it describes the character. Like you said, and like if you put them under mask, it gives them a chance to learn. Like for me, I like to do expressions like I growl or grunt when I wear the mask too when I do moves like like they'll hear that under the mask because you can't express under the mask. They won't see the expression. All they see is a blank, pale face, or at least the eyes of the person in that mask. And like for when they did my character, because my name was Bad Dan, odd name, but they gone for Bad Dan, which I feel like it was probably like it's literally an indie wrestler name to you, right? Like
Yeah.
Bad Dan.
Yeah.
I would have thought Dirty Dan, but then again, that'd be an odd thing. There's some people were calling me Dirty Dan. I was like, yeah, I don't like the SpongeBob reference.
Okay.
Well, we
Okay.
have a partner called Pinhead Larry,
Yeah.
but then we were talking about changing up the names. Like I removed the mask, I become like this guy with a French like name, like my real name, like Daniel Mead, to be like Daniel Midday or something like that, like
Okay.
like an odd name. But I see you study your character, you study what you could do, and being with these guys, I'm the guy that literally took like a would take hell and still keep going. Like these guys roughhoused me. I was like the Mick Foley for them. I went through 2 ladders. I got slammed on thumbtacks, which is not fun. Not fun at all. Because I still because after that it felt like a stinging nerve pain in my back where those thumbtacks go in. But yeah, I luckily enough before they used to go with those light fixtures. I would say that's garbage wrestling there. Like when they use glass in that. And luckily enough, we avoided that because one, it'd be a pain in the ass to clean up. We didn't have no mats. We didn't have nothing to sweep that up with. It was all grass and all.
Yeah.
And two, I think it's more dangerous to use light fixtures, especially in areas where, yeah, it's some of them have those like fluorescent lights. They have mercury vapor and all that. You don't want to be breathing that stuff in.
No.
That's why my thought is as well. What do you think about those people that do that type of stuff, like Glass, like GCW, another one, Game Changer Wrestling, or like Nick Gage and them?
Uh, the 10-year-old me would probably think it's the coolest thing in the world. But
But now the expert you think it's probably the dumbest thing to do.
yeah, the 37-year-old adult in me is like, that's so stupid. I wish they would. I feel like the light tube spots could be like a one and done. Like I see people, they hit them, boom, they hit them, boom, 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 and they
Like
just
just
keep
keep smashing glass
mo-
on.
and like glass is flying everywhere, and like nothing is happening. They're just hitting them repeatedly with
Like,
different light tubes, and I'm like,
and
oh,
the thing, you're trying to make a show, and I get like wrestling's choreographed and predetermined. I mean, as well, my thoughts to you. When people say something like use the word fake in wrestling, doesn't it bother you? Kind of like, because for me, I hate when people say fake. I know it it's I mean, I know wrestling ain't real. It's not like the ones you see in the Olympics, like Kurt Angle and them.
right,
But when you say it's fake, it's like you step in that ring and you get cut up and literally get the beat out of you and get welts from trying to run those ropes because the ropes we were using a boxing ring. It wasn't even a wrestling ring. It had those steel cables with the padding on
yeah,
it. So yeah, that hurt like hell, and I left a welt on my back running those ropes. And one time, I actually got a drop toe hold where I fell into the bottom turnbuckle. I couldn't put my hand up in time, and I just went, boom, literally got whiplash. And luckily, I didn't damage my neck or anything, but I left a mark on my head doing that. And
wow.
people want to say this is all fake. I'm like, it bothers me when people say that. I mean, because I've done it. I know how it feels. But how do you feel when people tell you, oh, like you're about wrestling being fake?
I mean, I kind of just laugh at them if I'm just being honest with you. I tell them, hey, you know what? I just like my wrestling. I've liked it since I was a kid. And then I shut up about it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because then I wait for my opening. I wait for my opening from when they start talking about Game of Thrones and how the dragon came down from the sky and like, oh, and then I'm like, oh wow, you watch Game of Thrones, huh? You know it's fake, right?
Yeah, I'm like
That
they say,
that's all you have to say.
yeah, like Walking Dead. Like people say, oh, Walking Dead's a good show. I'm like, zombies are fictional. There's no such thing. At least not yet. Like dead people can't come out of the grave and chew on human flesh. But
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
that's
make
what I do, man. If anybody tries to insult me or like my wrestling collection or or anything like that, like I just tell them, yeah, yeah, I watch it, and I like it. It's for me, I like my action figures and stuff, and yeah, I like it. But I just wait for any opening that I can get, dude. Whether it's a girl reading her romance novels, or
Yeah,
her soap operas on TV, Days of Our Lives, or whatever, right? I
yeah,
just Walking Dead, I just wait for my opening, and I just say,
mhm,
"Wait, well, why do
yeah,
you like that? Why do you like that? Oh, it's so good. The storytelling is so good. It's fake." And
yeah.
then they're like, and then they're like, "Oh, oh, I see your point." And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. Shut up."
Yeah, because I tell people it's like, yeah, wrestling's fake, but you actually go to the event and watch it in person. You're not going to like Switzerland to see Lord of the Rings like on the set and that. No, that's all fake. Hey, the only way you're going to watch it is behind the TV or yet in a movie theater. You could actually go and see people do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's basically extreme ballet. It's more
Yep.
like that. It's a play, but it's a live action stuff.
Yeah.
Not
Speaking, this is completely unrelated, but you mentioned plays and how it's like a live action play. Me and my wife had went to a Beauty and the Beast play. Her little brother was in it, so we were watching it. He's in high school. We were watching this play. Well, I was watching it. She was pretty much listening, because she's going blind. But anyway, we were watching the play, and there was an action scene between Gaston and the Beast. They were fighting on top of this
the
like
big.
tower, like a tower, and they accidentally fell off the tower
Oh,
and fell about 15 feet and hit like the ground.
ow.
And so like I was thinking, oh shoot, I hope they're okay. And like they came back from it fine. They were okay. But I'm just thinking like, man, there are people out there that see this and think, "Oh my god, I hope he's okay." But then there are people out there like me that are like, I have the wrestling brain that like I see people fall all the time, and and it's like he's okay, he's gonna live.
Yeah, because like for me, like I fell from a garage and landed on our setup for like something like a table. It's basically plywood in between two chairs, but they put a ladder in between that as well. So I literally went through all that crap, and people were looking at me like, "Oh my god!" And yet I got up walking like it was nothing. And it's like
Yeah.
you just gotta know how to fall and think. That's why we have people training. Like you forget,
Yep.
you gotta know how to fall. I hate to say that. That's how they do stunts and like for stunt doubles in movies. You just gotta know your body, know how to fall, and know how to do it. Because hey,
Yep.
like for me, if I want to be careful with my shoulder, I'm not landing on my elbow or landing where I put a lot of weight on that shoulder because that's what
Yeah.
causes the pop out. Or say like if you land up against a barricade or a fence where it has that angle, you're not gonna do that. You want to try and land flat or
And that
make
man, that must have been terrible when you had your shoulder surgery and all that stuff, and your mess up and all that over your arm. That must have been
well,
terrible trying to like go to sleep trying to deal with that. That must have been
oh,
terrible.
my second surgery was as bad as I mean, the first time it was like I spent most of my time sleeping in a chair. The second time I was sitting up, I literally had to sleep sitting up in my bedroom here with that brace on because it was because the first time it was a torn rotator cuff. Second time a torn labrum. So now next you know anything else, I may end up getting full shoulder replacement.
Because I
But
mean, I don't know how you are, but I'm a side sleeper. So like I tuck my arm under my pillow and I just like
I
outstretch
do
and like
that a
lay
couple
it.
times.
And I'm
Many
like,
times
man,
I
how
do
how
it.
do- how how do you do that?
Oh, believe me, many times I have to sleep on the other side. Like I usually
Yeah,
like to sleep on the side with the shoulder, but then many times I was like, you know, it doesn't feel right, and then I have to
yeah,
turn and sleep on the other side. But then I eventually wake up sleeping on my back anyway, because it's like
yeah.
you move in your sleep. For me, many times I just wake up as sleeping on my back. Some people sleep with a pillow on their head, like my brother does. I'm like, eventually you may end up smothering yourself doing that stuff.
I used to be a belly sleeper. I would sleep on my belly, and I would be face down into my pillow. And like my wife used to wake me up all the time and be like, "Are you still breathing?" Like she would shake me because I
That
would I would I would be face down into my pillow like this. I don't know how I didn't die because the pillow is like swishing my nose. I don't I don't know how I did it, but yeah. Now I strictly just sleep on my side.
Yeah, because I gotta tell you, for my times in wrestling, like even though it's only been like a year when I was doing it, I've had more pain outside of the ring than the inside. That's how most wrestlers
Yeah.
would be. Like
Yeah,
for me,
me
I
too.
didn't dislocate my shoulder in the ring at all. If anything, the worst injury I probably would have gotten was the fact of getting whiplashed. And I've seen people that had they broke their legs trying to do a springboard dive off the ring. I've seen one guy did that. He couldn't wrestle no more. And I don't. And the worst part that happened with me was when we were doing training. Me and my brother wanted to do this type of move. It's kind of like a Selena Del Sol that Kalisto did. He was going to run up the turnbuckle, and I dropped down with him. Only problem is we did it right the first time, but he's like, "Let's try this again." Second time, I think I dropped too early or something. He landed on his head, and yet as soon as I saw that, he was like he was groping in pain. He thought he broke his neck, and obviously I freaked out because A, that was my brother, and two, I was like, "Oh God, I think I just messed up." I didn't know what was going through me. I was upset. I had to get out of the ring and walk away. And I heard that they told me you're not supposed to do that. Obviously, your best bet to try not to worry everyone and try not to get yourself over worried. And that's when I had to learn. Yeah, things happen, and yeah, it was an accident. And plus, two, I don't think it was even. It wasn't our either one of our faults because I don't blame because they can't blame me because a he barely even I didn't pull him down or anything like that. I just dropped like he told me to.
Okay.
Sometimes I think it's just he slipped on cue to try to do a full turn and just landed on his head. Luckily enough, he didn't break his neck or anything. Luckily, we had guys there to maybe like pull his neck over a bit so release the pressure of the cushioning disc. But yeah, that was the scariest moment I would say for the ring, and it wasn't even for for an injury because and I'd say even parts that would scare me were doing the thumbtack thing because I hate the fact to say I had stuff stuck in my foot before many times with thumbtacks and that I actually had like a sewing needle that I used to stitch my homemade belts about this much into my heel, and I literally had to yank that out. I was like, and now when I
Wow.
imagine I'm like thumbtacks, and I'm thinking that's gonna go on my back. Luckily for me, I had wore like some type of like body tape or something. Like it's like masking tape around my ribs because we were trying to play the fact that I had like bruised ribs from the last time we fought because they put me through two ladders, a door, and that set up ladders through a garage like a week ago. But yeah, I've seen like worse injuries we've done, but then again, we consider them as accidents. But I would say as well another thing for me, I never wanted to see myself be one that does like those bleedings because I don't want mine having scar tissue on my forehead because some people don't like because like you've seen like Bruiser Brody or Abdullah the Butcher. I don't want seeing that. Plus, two, if you're wearing a mask, who's going to see you bleeding at all?
Well, man, I don't know if anybody taught you how to properly, get color. I don't know, but there is a really easy method to doing it without scarring up your forehead. I wish I had hair to show you, but if you lift up your hat, like your hat, just a little
Like
bit,
the hairline.
go right there at the hairline. That way, if boop, 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 to get the color, as you do that, you're not going to wake up the next day with, scars on your forehead or whatever.
Because I see
I,
some people they drag the blade just across their forehead. That's like the worst thing to do. You want to
yeah,
just
that,
do pokes.
yeah, I wish I had, I don't want to say I wish I had a knife, but,
But yeah, we don't want to see no blood on
yeah,
YouTube. God forbid, we
okay.
don't want
This,
monetization
this,
of this video taken down for it.
I have this very tiny, like, candle. I'll
Yeah,
use this. It's like a very, but like, wrestlers will use like the point of
of
that,
the
right?
blade.
And they'll, and all they do is just simply just poke. You, a lot of people will like poke and turn. I've never done that.
Or just straight up
Yeah,
graze.
some of them will go straight across. I don't do that either. I think that's weird. But when I did it in indie wrestling, I simply had the small little gig. That's what we called it. And I did a one poke, two poke, and three poke. That way, it would come down the center of my head, and it would come down just a little bit off to the side.
And plus, too, if you're sweating, it'll pour. But you never
Yeah.
want to do like blood, like take blood thinners before you bleed, right? That's the worst thing to do.
Well, I did it.
Oh, because I
We
feel like how Vince McMahon, how he when he one time faced Undertaker in that buried alive, he had it all pouring. I'm like, man, he must have taken some Tylenol before that or
Yeah, a lot of
something.
people, well, back in my day, a lot of people would drink before, or they would take like Tylenol and stuff like that to like thin out their blood to
Oh,
make
so
it,
they put another
you know,
blood to make it like pouring. Because
Yeah,
most people that do wrestling, if they sweat a lot, the blood will mix with the sweat, and it'll look like they're sweating blood.
yeah. And
But
so like so I will tell you when I did it on occasion, listen, I work a 9 to 5 throughout the week, right? We all do. I didn't want to show up to work on Monday morning with little cuts, in my head.
yeah, you would be
So
wondering, like, man, you can't look like that.
what happened to that guy? So what I did was I went way up there in my hairline when I actually had hair, and I went way up there in my hairline. So the next Monday, my hair easily covered everything up, and the guy saw me at a wrestling show, and he was like looking, and he was like, "Wait a minute, where's all the cuts?" And I was like, "It's a secret."
The thing for me, like my job, I wouldn't mind wearing a bandana or a hat. So, but then again, I don't like to have scars. But
Yeah,
like some people, they like we taught, they said you just poke in that, or do like little like slits in that. But for me, I would go for the poking method. But then again, for me, since I wore a mask, you wouldn't see it. And plus, two with that mask, if I did bleed, it would soak in through the mask because that mask is like some type of cloth with a mix of that foam rubber
yeah,
stuff. Because it's like a ski mask.
yeah,
So
and
mostly it soaks into the mask, and then I don't want to be wearing a mask that's literally soaked in blood and it'll smell like iron all day.
yeah, and if I did it a couple times, and I would always ask the referee because the referee is important, and I'd be like, "Ah, how's it look?" I would ask him, and he was like, "Oh, do it again," and I'm like, "Oh, God, I'd have to do it again, and then he's like, "Okay, you look good," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So then that was when I would like turn towards the camera, and I would make sure the cameras and all of the fans in the front row could like see me like wiping blood off me and all that stuff.
Because I
They
say
they
like
want they wanna see it's real. They wanna know that it's real. They
yeah,
wanna
but
see
don't
the
want to
blood
use
coming
blood
out.
capsules or fake blood, like have like a condom filled with fake blood and then just poke it and they just go like on their heads and that it just doesn't
Yeah.
look right. And
Yeah,
two,
one of my friends, he was in North Carolina wrestling, I think it was like a ladder match or something, I don't remember what he was doing, but, he was bleeding and he did the whole gimmick upstairs, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
and a fan just yelled out, "It's fake blood," and it just pissed him off. He went outside the ring, he rolled out of the ring, and he, like, wiped his head, and he took the blood on his hand and wiped it on the fan's shirt, and then the dude of course, you wipe it away, and then more blood starts coming back down
I
off his
mean,
head.
obviously now they're probably not allowed to do that with all
Dude,
the health conditions and that.
oh, yeah, this was probably, like,
Back then
2003
when
or
it was
something.
okay.
Yeah, it was back in the day.
Barely you see them bleed anymore because now with like
Yeah,
HPV and all those diseases, it's always a problem.
yeah, and, man, yeah, he was pretty pissed off at that, but he wiped all that blood off his head, and, like, it just started coming right back out of the little cut and stuff, and the
Yeah,
fan was like, "Wow, he really is bleeding."
because as well, I heard before when I was watching it as a kid that they would say, "Oh, it's just chicken blood. It's not like their actual blood." I heard they said they also use chicken blood. I'm like, one, I mean maybe they could be possible, but because then again, all bleed the exact same color. And two, I'm like, the only way I can see them doing blood capsules is if it's in like internal bleeding, like they bleed from the mouth. Like we
Yeah,
seen with Ethan Page when he crushed down and broke that one guy's jaw, Odyssey Jones, or no, not Odyssey Jones, that's that one guy. But saying NXT when he smashed that chair on him and he spitted out blood, that is possibly fake blood or blood
yeah.
capsule.
Oh,
If
yeah, I'm sure
you're
of it.
actually juicing or they say get color, that's their real blood. But if you're having blood come out of you, that's fake blood. I mean, unless you actually are bleeding for real, then in that case they should be worried.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Alright, man, I'm going to hop off here. It's been about 2 hours or so, so, I'm gonna go ch
I'm surprised it's the
I'm gonna go
longest one we've done. So,
oh, I'm sorry, man.
no problem. I'm probably going to end the video here anyway. So, thank you, Stephen, for joining
Of
me.
course, man. Of course, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, no problem. Also, guys, for those who are watching, check him out. He does his own. He does wrestling videos as well, and a lot of other stuff. It's Stephen Hammer, all caps, STEPHEN Hammer. So check him out, and also check out my channel as well for other videos. I have over 400 videos and other stuff just like him. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like this stream. Check out our channels, like them, share them, subscribe to them if you haven't already. Comment below. Follow me on my social media at X at DMTombstone96 and as well on Instagram at Damien96. That's Stephen Hammer. I'm DM Tombstone Belts, and for DM Tombstone Live, this is signing off. See you guys next time.
Peace.
Thank you, Stephen.